Hello friends, welcome. In this video, we'll be discussing Introduction to Statistics Part 2. We'll start with the branches of statistics. The first one is the descriptive statistics. Name itself is sufficient to explain the purpose behind this descriptive statistics. Descriptive means provide a kind of statistical description. So this branch of statistics deals with the summarization and providing the description of certain statistical parameters in the form of mean, standard deviation, standard error, variance, etc. So with the help of the statistical parameters, the qualities or the inherent hidden aspects of the data set is being described. This branch is known as the descriptive statistics. Next, the inferential statistics. Inference means coming out with particular ideas for predicting the future outcomes. That comes under the inferences. So the branch of statistics that used to draw conclusions and to make inferences that are based on the data. This means the data set, what we have, what the data wants to convey, that message has to be inferenced from the data using the statistical technique. So particularly that type of statistic is known as the inferential statistics. Now, what are the salient features of statistics or the characteristics of statistics? Through analysis, statistics provide meaning to the measurement. What is the measurement? The data we have, the numerical digits we have, the numbers we have. It provides the meaning to what that particular data want to convey, and the meaning has to be in the form of a language that people commonly understand. Next, statistics also explore or establishes a relationship between data and its application. Here are the two important points. What statistics do, that explore the relationship and establish the relationship between data and how it can be applied. Then it helps in precising and making accurate description about the message inherent in the data. What the data wants to convey, that message has to be described accurately and to the highest possible level of precision, so that the predictions that can be made using that statistical technique can be as accurate as possible. Then the statistics is a logical process. It has set of rules that are dependent upon logic, that provide a way of thinking, vocabulary and language. We cannot depart from single step. If we apply statistics or a particular technique for statistics, we have to follow the set rules so that we can come out with a inference that can be assessed objectively. Then statistics make data talk. It's a very funny thing. Can data talk? No, data cannot talk. But statistics is a medium, is a tool that helps in digging out the idea what the data want to convey. And that idea has to be transformed into common language that could be understood by the general population. In that sense, statistics make the data talk. Statistics deals with the both type data, enumeration data and the metric data. Enumeration means counting. Simple word. Suppose someone want to say that go and enumerate in your neighborhood how many people or there are how many students that study psychology. That comes under the enumeration. The metric data means that data is in some numbers. Though enumeration of data is also in some numbers, but enumeration means there is some counting type of pattern you will find in enumeration. Whereas in the metric data, there will be some pattern, but that pattern will be entirely different. For example, for the metric data, it can 43, 79, 128, something, something, something. That is the metric data. So statistics deals with both type of data. Now, the usage of statistics. In psychological science, the researcher directly deals with the behavior, whether it is of animals or of the human beings. And you know, behavior is highly volatile and dynamic. It is prone to change at every moment. So the statistician or the researcher has to be very much careful while dealing with the data that represents the behavior. So, analyzing the causal factors behind a particular phenomena. Why that phenomena has occurred? What are the factors that caused this phenomena to occur? That has to be analyzed. Then, summarizing or describing large amount of data. A particular individual is a data warehouse. So you can collect the petabytes of data from an individual. If I talk in the digital language. So every individual, so that in psychological science, the researcher has to face a big data, a large amount of data. It is almost impossible to come out with the inferences from the large data set without the use of statistics. The next use is comparison between the individuals or between the groups. In societies, we have different type of groups. And you know, every individual is unique. Every individual has his or different type of temperament, personality, working style, response style. So when we need to compare between the two individuals or between the two groups, we use the statistical technique. And in psychological science, this comparison is widely used. That's why statistics is must in psychological science. Then the next use is the establishing or exploring the relationship between measured variables. For example, intelligence is a measured variable. So what is the relationship between intelligence and academic achievement? Both are measured variables. So to establish the relationship or to explore the relationship between the various psychological variables, we use statistics. Then the most important objective of science, including the psychology science, is prediction. And prediction has to be as accurate as possible. And statistics helps in predicting the phenomena at the highest level of accuracy. Then it helps in making the informed decisions, where decisions are based upon the inferences that has been drawn using the data. Because that comes under the domain of statistics, that is informed decisions. There is a one word of caution. What does it mean? We have to be attentive. Why? The statistics can be used or misused and misused in human history thousands of times. The misuse of statistics has to be circumvented, and the researcher has to remember the following points while handling the data and using the statistical tools. The inferences arrived at by statistical techniques need to be carefully interpreted. They should not be jumped, and there should not be comprehensive generalization of the results, because in the statistics generally we use the samples, not the entire population. So when we use the samples, it has its own limitations. So that results that has been drawn from the statistical techniques are to be carefully interpreted. The incorrect interpretations are worse than wasted efforts. It's a very important statement made by the Guilford and the Fractors. Then, before application of statistical technique, the researcher must make sure that the data meets the assumptions of that particular or that specific statistical technique. Suppose if you want to use the factor analysis on a particular set of data. So before applying the factor analysis, we must carefully test and ensure that whether the data meets the assumptions of the factor analysis. If yes, then we must go ahead. Otherwise, first we have to go for the data profiling, cleaning of the data so that it meets the assumptions of the particular statistical technique. And this is the big gray area where students face problems and where the statistical techniques are misused. And then there is a tendency among researchers to generalize their results. So the researcher has to be very much careful before generalizing the results based upon the sampling statistics. Means the results or the inferences that has been drawn from the sample. It has to be carefully looked into it before making a statement for applying into the general population. This means researcher must refrain from this practice. Now we use various terms in statistics such as enumeration data, the data that yields frequencies as a result of counting that I told you earlier. That is enumeration data. Then metric data or the measurements of the observations, the data that has been obtained as a result of measurements. Suppose how many students in a class, that is enumeration data, and the intelligence quotient of each student, that is the metric data. That we must understand the difference between these two. Mean, median and mode. These are three jointly known as the central tendency. What are they? Mean, median and mode are the single number that provides scientific description about the position of an individual, group, sample or a product on a continuum in context of others. In simple terms, the mean, median and mode is a single number that provides a one glance account of that particular data set. Where that individual lies on the continuum, at a one glance, we can have some idea about the properties of data set. So that is the quality or the ability of this mean, median and mode. Then comes the standard deviation. Generally we call it the SD. It's a statistical indicator or it's a numerical indicator of the amount of variability in a data set. That is how much that individuals vary from the normality. Then coefficient of correlation. These terms which I am discussing right now will be frequently using in the statistics. So what is the coefficient of correlation? You know the correlation is it has been derived from the two words co and relation. Means relation between two or more than two variables. This is a correlation. The degree and the direction. of closeness of relationship between two sets of measures of the same group of individuals or observations. How much they are close to each other and the direction of their closeness. Direction means whether they are positively correlated or the negative correlated. For example, if there is an increase in one variation or increase in one value, then there will be increase in the value of other data set also. That is the positive correlation. And negative is just opposite correlation. It describes minimum two things: the degree and the direction of relationship between the two set of measures. Then comes the sample. In statistics, we generally use the sample because it's not possible to take the entire population while using the statistical techniques or conducting an experiment. So for the ease of that, there is a process of sampling. So what is a sample? A group of people representing a population of interest which are selected on the basis of some inclusion criteria, and the selection is a random one. If the selection is not random one, then it's assumed in statistics that the sample is not the representative of that particular population from which the sample has been drawn. Then sampling statistics. It tells the degree of representativeness of the population from the sample has been drawn. Means when we draw a sample from a particular set of population, this sampling statistics helps in assessing the representativeness of that sample. How much that sample is capable to represent the population from it has been drawn. That comes under the domain of sampling statistics. Then standard error. When we deal with human beings or animals, and when we go for the sampling technique, measuring the variables, there are bound to occur error. We cannot make the observations or the measurements that are error free when we deal with the human beings or the animals. So that is the big issue in psychological research. So error is the inevitable part of measurements. If it is inevitable part, then it has to be dealt with. And for that, there is a statistical technique that is known as the standard error. It is an index or statistical indicator that leads us to conclusion concerning how far the statistics derived from the sample probability differs from the value we would obtain if you had measured an entire population. In simple words, if we measure a population, entire population on particular set of variable, and if we take a sample from this population and measure that sample on that particular variable, so how much that measurement, that is, one has been measured from the population, one is from the sample. So what is the difference between these two? That is the standard error. It's a very important indicator. Then comes the population. Population, you know, a well-defined group of people from which sample has to be drawn, on which that researcher feels to conduct some experiment or something. So that is a population. Suppose a group of students of FGM Government College, Adampur, that's a population. Adolescents of your neighborhood, of particular district or state or nation. So these are kind of population. That depends upon the researcher which population he or she intended to select for the experiment or the research. And now, in the end, we'll discuss some common notations you will find in the statistical techniques. You'll find X bar, which is written here. Now see, this is X bar. It indicates the mean of observed data. I know students are phobic towards this X because during their high school time they found that their mathematical teacher is frequently using, let us take X every day. So they find it difficult or they become phobic to it. But in these statistics, Do not worry about that. It's a simple meaning. That's enough. Then you'll find a small s. It is the standard deviation, which I told you earlier. SD. SD will be represented by the s of the observed data or the frequency distribution, that is. Then s square. If you put a square on the s, that represents the variance. Other way, the under root of variance is your standard deviation, or the square of standard deviation is your variance. Then mu is a Greek letter, mean of probability distribution or expected value or theoretical distribution. Then sigma, which standard deviation of probability distribution. S was the observed data. S represents the standard deviation of the observed data, whereas the sigma represents the standard deviation of probability distribution. Now here is a difference. Probability distribution means the data set that meets the assumptions of normal distribution, whereas the observed data may or may not meet the assumptions. So that's why if you find written as S, this indicates that this is the standard deviation of the observed data, and you find somewhere written as the sigma, this is the standard deviation of the normal distribution. Similarly, if you scale the sigma, it will represent the variance of probability distribution, where S square represents the variance of the observed data. And there is a seventh notation, there is a summation sign. Summation means total. If you add the data set, suppose the data set 2, 3, 4. So if we add 2 plus 3, 5 plus 4 is 9. So 9 is the summation that is represented by this Greek alphabet. Dear friends, these are my references. If you read these or you go through these references, you will understand the statistics better, and you will have a fulfilling experience of handling the statistics. And my suggestion, you must go through these references. Our next discussion will be meaning of correlation. Dear friends, if you like the presentation style and contents of this video, tell to others. But if you have any query, any point to make, any curiosity, any question, or any critical comment as far as my explanation style or contents are related, you are most welcome. Just drop a comment in my comment box, or if you want to write to me directly, just email me at wamasujit@yahoo.com. Thank you friends for watching this video.